Hello, everybody. Welcome into Primetime Pregame. I'm Katie Mox, and as we get closer to week one of both the NFL and CFP seasons, our experts are on deck to break down the best plays on the board right now. We're also going to hit on tonight's slate in the majors, but first, we got to talk about what is going on in Dallas. Micah Parsons went viral in the Cowboys preseason game after lying on the training table while eating some nachos. He insists that it was brief and not disrespectful, but the moment fueled controversy after his contract standoff with Jerry Jones. Parsons' MRI came back clean, and Dallas does expect him ready for week one against the Eagles. And for more, let's welcome in Cowboys insider for CBS Sports, Garrett Podell. Garrett, good to see you. The Cowboys and Parsons drama just seems to continue here after missing camp with back tightness. His MRI came back clean, and the team says he is medically cleared, yet Parsons still hasn't practiced. His hold-in, as we know, all about contract leverage. Now, Dallas expects him ready for week one, but Parsons, he was spotted at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport around 10:30 a.m. this morning. The trade rumors are circulating. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, Katie, there's a lot going on here, but ultimately, as far as first, before we get into the trade rumors, I walked after the preseason finale that we saw Micah Parsons laying on the training table, walked behind him in the hallway outside the locker room, along with Trayvon Diggs. Parsons didn't speak to me, but Diggs did to myself and 3 or 4 other reporters. And he said Micah's back is, quote, feeling tight. He got an MRI on Friday, and so we'll see where he's at. And so Monday, the Cowboys practice. Micah wasn't out on the field for the media viewing portion of practice, but after practice was able to talk to Diggs once again. And he said, Micah, quote, most definitely wants to be here. He told me, the Cowboys are family and these are his brothers. So Micah would ultimately love to re-sign with Dallas. Now, kind of the big controversy or starting to amp up some pressure here is when I was at the Star yesterday speaking with Brian Schottenheimer in a press conference following the Cowboys roster cut down to 53, he said, yes, the Cowboys do view Micah Parsons as medically cleared to practice because that MRI he got on Friday came back clean. He has not practiced since the start of training camp. And that's why, we saw on social media today that Micah was in DFW airport looking to fly out and get a second opinion. Now, he's not missing any practice by flying out right now. The Cowboys are off until Friday when they will ramp up their efforts to face the Eagles. So it'll be very interesting to see where things go from here and how it's all going to play out. Dak Prescott told me on Monday that he's, quote, confident that he'll have Micah on the field for the Cowboys when they play the Eagles on September 4th, because that was his situation. Dak re-signed on a 4-year extension hours before kickoff in week 1 at the Cleveland Browns last year. So Dak's hope is that happens again this year with Micah.
All right. Well, it's coming down to the wire here, Garrett, so we'll have to see how this one plays out. But, of course, I'm hopeful for Dallas fans here. Now, you've got an article coming out tomorrow morning that's going to outline all of the division losers. This always sparks a lot of healthy debate online, so we're going to spin it forward. We'll go rapid fire with this one. The NFC East. Consensus says it's the Giants. Do you agree?
Yeah, so I'm happy to announce that article did come out today, and my pick to finish last in the NFC East is the New York Giants, and that's because Russell Wilson is their starting quarterback to begin the season. He'll be 37 later this year, and he just faded really hard down the stretch for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost their last 5 games of the year with Wilson starting, and he averaged under 200 passing yards a game. And, it's not his fault. Wilson's absorbed 560 sacks in his 13-year career. That's far and away the most in NFL history through a player's first 13 seasons. Number 2 on that list, another former Steeler, Ben Roethlisberger, he absorbed over 100 fewer than Wilson, 456 in his first 13 seasons. Wilson's just taken too many hits at this point to really kind of maintain any consistency through the bulk of the season.
All right, let's flip it now to the NFC West. It is a deep and competitive division. Most projections pointing towards Arizona at the bottom, but you see things differently.
Yeah, so I'm not picking your 49ers to finish last in the NFC West, which I'm sure you'll be happy about. I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks. Sam Darnold is now the new quarterback over there, and I think it's kind of a bad personnel fit because the Seahawks had the 3rd worst pass blocking offensive line in terms of quarterback pressure rate allowed. And Sam Darnold, when he was under pressure, pressured 49 times the last 2 games of Minnesota's season a year ago, he absolutely melted in their Week 18 defeat against the Detroit Lions and their playoff loss against the Rams, in which he was sacked, an NFL playoff record 9 times. I just don't think putting a guy like Darnold behind a young, inexperienced, and very much developing offensive line is going to translate to much success for the Seahawks in 2025.
Yeah, he had a pretty good season last year with the Vikings, but I'm not sold on him either. Moving on to the NFC North. Again, consensus is picking Chicago, but I was interested to see what you got here. You think the Vikings will be at the bottom?
Yes, and I think the Vikings are going to be at the bottom because of the quarterback. There's a common theme here: the quarterback for a lot of these teams. They have arguably the best offensive ecosystem around the quarterback in the entire NFL. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, tight end TJ Hawkinson, running back Aaron Jones, Kevin O'Connell, the reigning coach of the year, calling plays on the headset. But JJ McCarthy, he missed out on really big developmental reps in practice last year after tearing his meniscus last preseason. And then if we just look at his profile coming out of college, he didn't ever throw for over 3,000 yards in a season at Michigan, nor did he run for over 500 yards in a season at Michigan. And the last top 10 pick to come out of college with those benchmarks lacking was Detroit Lions' 3rd overall pick, Joey Harrington, back in 2002 out of Oregon. He was a total bust. So I know there's some hope for McCarthy out of Michigan, but his collegiate profile plus missing all of last year with the meniscus injury, I don't think bodes well for the Vikings in 2025. And they play arguably, to me, in the toughest division in football.
You know, I'm absurdly high on the Chicago Bears this year, so I am happy to hear that you don't have them at the bottom. Garrett, let's move on to the NFC South. The team that most experts peg for the cellar is New Orleans. Hard to argue with that. Are you on the same page?
Yeah, I agree with all those experts you referenced, Katie. I mean, this could very well be the team that has the #1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft next April. They went 0-7 in non-Derek Carr starts last year, 0-6 when Week 1 starter for this year, Spencer Rattler, started, and he beat out rookie 2nd-round pick Tyler Shuck for the starting job. And they're a team that just is in salary cap, disarray, aging team. Outside of Chris Olave, Brandon Cooks, who kind of really faded with injuries his last couple of years in Dallas, he's going to have to play a big role. It's just an older team that really doesn't have a whole lot of developing prospects, and it's probably going to be incredibly rough in 2025. Incredibly
rough. As Falcons fans say, they might be the Aints this year. Garrett, over to the AFC now. We'll start in the East. Jets have the lowest win total at around 5.5. Do you think that means they're going to end up in the basement, or maybe their defense can get them up?
Yeah, my pick for last place in the AFC East is the Jets, and it's because another Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, touchdown Russell Wilson, the guy who started the first 6 weeks for Pittsburgh ahead of Wilson last year, was Justin Fields. And their passing offense averaged under 200 passing yards per game in those 6 starts. Even though he went 4-2, that was more on the ground game. And Fields just hasn't displayed an aptitude in the NFL to be a guy who can beat you with his arm. And I think that's going to really hinder the New York Jets this season, even though they do have a ton of talent. Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner on the defensive side of the ball, Breece Hall at running back. I just think Justin Fields isn't that guy.
Fair enough. Justin Fields just isn't that guy. Let's head now to the AFC West. The Chiefs, of course, still heavy favorites here. Denver and LA expected to contend for playoff spots, but you say not so fast.
Yeah, so this is where it starts to get a little spicy, Katie, and I'm going to pick the Denver Broncos, a team that did make the postseason last year, to finish last in the AFC West. To me, this could be the most competitive division in the AFC this year. I mean, the coaches in this division, Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, and now Pete Carroll with the Raiders. And I think the reason the Broncos are going to finish last, the division got better. The Raiders have Geno Smith, someone who overcame Seattle's kind of rough offensive line that I mentioned a little while ago to really thrive and be a Pro Bowl quarterback. I think he can really elevate the ceiling for Las Vegas in 2025. Drafted college football's best running back, Ashton Genty. And I just think with the coaching change, much better coaching from Pete Carroll, offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, way better personnel, that the Raiders could rise from last place to 3rd place in this division, and that the Broncos in Bo Nix's 2nd season, they may take a step back because, as we've seen the last few years from guys who had great rookie years, quarterbacks, they've taken a little sophomore slump. Look at CJ Stroud. That was an offensive line thing. But I think Bo Nix might take a slight step back this year in year 2.
Okay, Bo Nix is one of my favorite frisky quarterbacks. That's a bummer for me to hear. But Garrett, let's head now to the AFC North. Most of the experts in this one, they think that Cleveland is going to bring up the rear here, despite Myles Garrett anchoring the defense. What do you think about this one? Do you think it's going to be Cleveland? I mean, when you look at the rest of the division, I don't see how anyone else could be at the bottom.
You're exactly right, Katie. My pick here is the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett is awesome. He's the first guy ever to have at least 14 sacks in 4 consecutive seasons. But Joe Flacco is 40. 2 years ago, when he led them to the playoffs with his hot tear down the stretch that got him NFL Comeback Player of the Year, he was 38. There's a track record of 38-year-old quarterbacks doing well as they age. 40, the only guys who play well at that position at 40 has been Brett Favre in 09 with the Vikings when they made an NFC title run, and Tom Brady throughout his 40s. Other guys typically deal with injuries and or regression, and I think Flacco's going to deal with both. Their running back situation really murky. No more Nick Chubb. He's on the Texans. Quinshon Judkins, their second-round pick running back, he's still unsigned after some legal issues. I just think offensively, this could very well be a mess for Cleveland, even though with Myles Garrett and some of the other defensive playmakers, they'll probably be pretty good on that side of the ball.
Yeah, but that's not going to win you games. All right, let's close this out with the AFC South. Houston is the clear favorite, and consensus last place is Tennessee, but you're more concerned with the Colts.
I am. My pick for the AFC South last place finisher is the Indianapolis Colts, and it's purely based on a vote of no confidence for Daniel Jones. He's started his team's first 10 games in 4 of the last 5 seasons, and in those first 10 games, under 10 touchdown passes. Other quarterbacks this decade have combined for only 4 such seasons. Jones has 4 of those on his own. He just doesn't beat you downfield with his arm. And I think the most glaring evidence of that was in the Colts preseason finale against the Packers. He had first-round rookie tight end Tyler Warren open deep down the right sideline. No one really in Warren's zip code. Warren had left the linebacker in coverage in the dust, and he just threw it out of bounds off to the right. I mean, he just completely missed a wide open Warren. And so that right there is kind of a microcosm of what this year could look like for the Colts as long as they stick with Daniel Jones.
All right, Garrett Podell, thank you so much. And his article is live right now on CBSSports.com, where you can read all about the teams in the last place division. And don't worry, you can still count on Sundays. NFL returns September 7th. Watch your local game live on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.